week has been community, and we've been talking about our community as large. We've talked about the community of faith. We've talked about the characteristics that we should live by in our community of faith. We've even talked about how we should act together in the community of faith. And so we want to hear two more guys to share their stories. Tonight is South Carolina night. Our two representatives are going to come, but they're both from South Carolina. So Bruce, come on up here. Bruce has been at our project a long time. Bruce has become, he's been one of our supervisors year after year after year. Come on up here. Yeah, you got to come up on stage. And he is very good. He helps with most of our roofing projects. And we have almost roofed every building in both the Buckhorn and the Desi Scott campus, and Bruce has been instrumental in almost every one of those. So we're proud of you, Bruce, and we're glad that you're part of us. Joe, come on up here. Joe from Swansea. Use this mic or use this one over here. Or get out here. Let's see where he comes up. Yeah, take this one. Yeah. I don't know Joe very well. I've just met him this week, but I've had some great conversations, and I'm just glad that Swansea's here and that you guys have come. I spent 25 years in South Carolina pastoring. I was in Orangeburg for a while. I was in Bishopville. I was in Walterboro, and it was a great experience to be in that state. So what I want to do is just ask you a couple questions. Tell me a little bit about the community, Bruce, where you live.
I'm from Lancaster, South Carolina, which is just south of Charlotte, North Carolina, kind of the top part of the state. When I was a kid, it was a relatively small community, but it's now the third fastest growing county in the state. So it's really, really, really growing very fast. It's kind of a quiet community, even though it is growing fast. Fairly close-knit. Crime is, we get a kind of a bedroom for Charlotte, North Carolina, but we got a lot of new industry coming in. Beyond that, it's just a nice place to live. It's kind of a mix between, I like it because we're 3 hours from the coast, 3 hours from the mountains, close to Charlotte, close to Columbia, so it's a neat place to live. Y'all come join us. We had mission serve there for several years, so I've met a lot of you guys there, so it's a pretty cool place.
Tell me a little bit about your church.
Restoration, it's relatively new, about 7 years old now. The name Restoration Church was basically our philosophy. We pretty much go by the adage of broken people leading broken people to Christ. And if you look at our leadership in the church, we're a lot of broken people. And it's kind of neat to see our ministries and our outreaches. We support Lancaster Children's Home, which is near and dear to my heart. And we also do Ground 40, which is a men's recovery, substance abuse recovery, and Pearls of Grace, which is a women's recovery. So that's our main outreach ministries. So it's kind of neat to think about broken people leading broken people.
I like that.
To Christ.
That's really neat. So, tell me, if we were going to pray for something specific about your community, your church, what would you ask us to pray for?
Right now, we're without a pastor, lead pastor. I'm youth ministry. We called a gentleman, a retired minister, to be our interim, and yesterday haven't gotten an answer on that yet, so looking forward to hearing what he's going to say as our interim. Try to get us some stability while we're in the search. Interestingly enough, there's only a few members of our church that grew up in church. And it's really, really, really hard to get organized with people who've never experienced a pastor search, never experienced any organization of the business side of church. And that's a hard thing for a lot of people to understand, is church has to have a business side. You have your ministry, but you got to have a business side, right? Mm-hmm. otherwise you're not there the next week. So you got to have that. So it's really hard for that. So pray for us as we're searching for a new lead pastor. Somebody asked me if I was going to do that, and I said, "Oh no, I'm youth. I don't want to do grown-ups."
Neither do I.
You guys, yeah, you guys are my heart. Okay, so that's where my heart is. So somebody said, "When are you going to stop doing youth ministry?" And I said, "Want to die?" So that's my heart. So
Thank you.
Pray
Bruce.
for us as we search.
Tell us about Swansea.
So
Is that mic on, guys?
You gotta hold it. You can hold it.
There you go.
just don't do it like
There.
So Swansea is a small rural community located about 20 miles south towards Savannah out of Columbia, which is the capital of South Carolina, and primarily a farming community, although we have some industry in the area. From Nucor Steel is probably one of the big name brands that everyone would end up recognizing, but we're growing. We're located in Lexington County, which is one of the fastest growing counties in the state of South Carolina. And our portion of the county has not seen the growth that other areas have, but in the last 5 years, we've seen more growth on residential as well as commercial development.
Tell me a little bit about your church. I'm real interested in how old the church is. Do you know how long Swansea First Baptist been there?
100 plus years.
Okay.
Yes, we actually we were an offspring of a church that was about 5 or 10 miles outside of the city limits of Swansea, and when the railroad was coming through, that church thought that because there were visitors coming through the town, the actual area of Swansea, or the actual town of it, needed a church. So they actually planted a church 100 plus years ago there. The land was donated, and the church has grown in size as far as the physical building to where we take up well over a city block now in the central part of town. And if you ever do get an opportunity to come to the area, we invite you to do that. You won't have any problem finding our church. There's only 2 traffic lights in town, and the church is right in the center of those 2 traffic lights.
What special ministry does Swansea do, Swansea First Baptist?
We have a preschool within our church to serve families that are coming into the area that have young children. Would be one sector of how we minister in the area. We also have Flowers for Bibles, which was started by some of our senior adults that actually raises money to support a mission that we send to Kenya each year as well.
Great. If we were to pray for your church or your community, what would that prayer concern be?
Because we're a small community, there is substance abuse, and I'm married to a school teacher, so we see some of that from a family unit situation. So I would say in our area, pray for our community, just from a standpoint of that some of those folks can be led to Christ to become part of our community that we've talked about today.
Great. South Carolina is a wonderful state. I call it home too sometimes. So we appreciate both of you guys. Thank you so much for sharing about your community.